Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome to the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 9:45 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. Hope you guys are having a great morning and a little bit of more relaxed due to a small market recovery. We'll talk about that, of course, when we get to the crypto mining portion of this and talking about, of course, our profits for the day and what's going on with just everything as a whole. But before we get into that stuff, we do have, of course, our topics to cover. We're going to be covering how you can vote for EIP or on EIP27 for the Ergo platform. It's only empowered by one mining pool, which is getblock.io. This is going to be very important if you want your voice heard. We also are going to be talking about Meta unveiling a supercomputer for, obviously, the Metaverse, and of course, who's working on that? It appears to be NVIDIA. We also have Kazakhstan basically having power cut off, so we're going to see how that affected the network. And then we have leaks for the RTX 3050 as far as benchmarks go. They are gaming benchmarks, but we're going to cover it because we like GPUs here on this channel. Then after that, we'll get into our standard analyzation of the market, see where we're at as far as mining goes on any particular card. And then questions and answers. Questions and answers, as always, are at the end of the show. Super chats will be answered first, followed by, of course, adding me, Son of a Tech, so that it pops up in orange and I can read it. That's the primary thing. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to get through. Please avoid tagging at Son of a Tech if you don't want it read on stream, and also if it's not a question, because then it kind of breaks up the momentum. I appreciate, of course, all the super chats, but they are not required. Let's start with the ad today, and then we'll get going. We already actually ran the ad that we usually run on Tuesdays, so today is brought to you by
Today's sponsor
truly
is myself. To support the channel, click the join button below the video and you will get access to our privately hosted Rocket Chat. Selecting the $1.99 option will get you access, and after that you need to head over to the membership tab, scroll down, and expand out your membership perks. Find the section for connecting on social media, and in that section there will be a secret registration URL to join Rocket Chat, where you can sign up to enjoy talking with other cryptocurrency enthusiasts and miners without spammers, scammers, or bots.
All right, and we're back. I actually have, it sounds like a lawnmower running out back. We have some noise coming from everywhere. There's laundry machines going. Hopefully it doesn't affect it too much. That's why we invest in the audio equipment before anything else on these YouTube channels. So there's that. Let's go ahead and hop into EIP27 and the Ergo soft fork. I'm trying to get more information as far as exact dates for the voting and so on, but this is going to be important for everybody that's mining Ergo. One of the big things that we should note about Ergo that's a positive is that the voting process goes through the miners, and this is something that sets Bitcoin apart from Ethereum, for example, is that you can't have these consensus mechanism changes without the approval of the miners. And that is a big positive to any project, in my humble opinion. That should also be the same in proof of stake projects, where the validators essentially are the ones that place the vote. If that's not the case for the currency that you're participating in, just keep a special extra eye on that particular project. So what we have here is from GetBlock. GetBlock is actually implementing something very interesting where they're allowing individuals to have a say in this particular vote. How it traditionally functions is that mining pools actually end up casting their votes, and the individual miners don't really have a say. This is how it's been functioning, you know, in Bitcoin, as well as pretty much any other project that bases their changes off of voting for miners. And this can be a little bit of a problem, especially with smaller coins, because essentially you have all this concentrated hash power on a couple pools, and then they essentially get the say at the end of the day. GetBlock's a little bit smaller, but what they've done here is super interesting. So the upcoming Ergo soft fork EIP27, all mining pools are in favor. Okay, so GetBlock remains neutral. If you wish to have a say, then move your hash rate to ergo.getblock.io and you will start getting essentially voting tokens. Let's go ahead and go over this process so that you guys understand it. Here's their little, I guess, slideshow for you guys. And here's how it works. You have the miner. Bob mines on ergo.getblock.io. Smart pool, and then in return Bob receives the standard erg rewards that he's going to get for mining in general, plus he will get a governance token. So at that point it'll be a token that's called GBGT. Those rewards are sent to Bob's wallet. He'll get one of each, and basically the weight is going to be, from what I can tell, equal to the amount of erg you've mined, therefore representing the amount of hash power you have on GetBlock. Bob sends all the GBGT tokens to voting contract addresses, and I'll be working on getting all that information for you guys up as well. Make sure you follow GetBlock, but essentially you'll be able to vote yes or no, and you'll send it to the proper address. It will require a 0.001 erg to submit the vote, and then once the votes are sent and they're stored in a recording box until the Ergo soft fork voting commences. And then at that point, GetBlock will configure pool to support miners' decision based on 51% majority rules. So it will still be essentially GetBlock submitting the vote, but it will be based on the amount of tokens that are in either the yes or the no category going to the majority. Now, if we took a look at mining pool stats for GetBlock or for Ergo in general, though, GetBlock doesn't have a ton of the hash power. What you end up having right here is they only have 129 gigahash a second. All of these other pools with this like 6.33 terahash a second on Nano Pool and 3.23 terahash a second on Hero miners, and of course the 666 pool at 2.33. Pretty much all of these, as far as I understand, even though it's not fully confirmed yet because the vote hasn't fully been submitted yet, are in favor, at least according to getblock.io. So if we actually wanted to change the vote, and I say we, I mean miners, individual miners, unfortunately that would mean that you would need to move all of your hash power to GetBlock. Now, what I will say is, regardless of how you vote on it, yes or no, having a pool actually put this power into the hands of the individual miners means that I think we should try to support GetBlock here no matter what. And I am not paid by them. I would never actually take endorsement for a mining pool or anything like that, just to be clear. But when I see basically any entity that starts trying to give more and more control back to the individual, especially within cryptocurrency, I appreciate it a lot. I think that it is paramount that that is the focus of cryptocurrency, and I really appreciate what they're doing here. So if I'm going to mine Ergo, for example, I'm going to go to GetBlock. That's what I'm personally going to do. It's a principled thing. It's not a because they make more money than another pool thing. That's just the way I see it. I'd like to hear your thoughts, of course, at the end of the show because I think it's really interesting. So good job on that work. That work must have taken quite some time. Of course, they were having to spin up contracts, figure out how the process would work, and go from there. So I'm actually curious how this ends up functioning in the long run. It doesn't look like it's going to have much of an effect on the network, if we're really being honest about 6.3 terahash on Nanopool. I highly doubt it's going to have an effect on the vote necessarily. But what I'm more interested in is, of course, does this work, right, for voting? How does it work? Does it function properly? And kind of all of those things. So we'll have to see how it shakes out in the end. But overall, kudos for at least probably the most innovative thing from mining pool in general surrounding, voting on changes to a blockchain, because this is pretty neat. So there you go. I think it's really cool. Alrighty, so our next topic is going to be talking about Meta unveiling an AI research supercluster. We've been talking about metaverses quite a bit, and I'm going to continue to talk about metaverses because if we're being honest, to a certain extent, the metaverse is happening whether us old boomer gamers like it or not. And if you guys aren't familiar, I have gamed since I was a kid. I was early in Twitch. I never was successful in Twitch necessarily, maybe like 30 live concurrent viewers at any given time. But I do enjoy gaming a lot. I used to run a gaming podcast as well for many years with well over a couple hundred episodes just talking about gaming industry and so on from about 2012 to maybe about 2016, 2017, somewhere in there. So many years of just like actually being interested in it, that sort of thing. One of the things that I'm super standoffish about with the metaverse and its tie-in to NFTs, etc., is how much of an advantage gaming companies take over, of course, microtransactions as they already currently sit. Some outliers around this that I think are okay is like trading card games, something like Gods Unchained, which I'm going to be covering on the channel here in a little bit, not because actually it's into crypto, but it's into crypto and I've been playing it and enjoying it. So there's a huge difference between, I think, like what a crypto metaverse channel is going to cover and what we'll cover over here. I don't have time to go through all the metaverse stuff. Now, of course, Gods Unchained isn't a metaverse, but I've been playing it, so I'm interested in it. You guys might be interested in it as well, so we'll cover it. As far as talking about all the metaverse stuff, though, it is kind of one of those things that's going to happen, right? If you have already Microsoft talking about it, you already have Facebook talking about it, you already have pretty much all the big players talking about the metaverse, getting in on it, it's going to happen. It's going to be super important and relevant just overall in our society. So we need to be up to date, and it should help us get some ideas on where essentially the crypto market is headed as well. But coming from WCCF Tech, Meta unveils the AI Research Supercluster supercomputer powered by NVIDIA's A100 GPU and packs 220 petaflops of horsepower. Meta reveals today that they have not only designed but built the new AI Research Supercluster, RSC, possibly the most efficient AI supercomputers currently in the industry and the world, and powered by NVIDIA's latest Ampere A100 GPUs. Keep in mind that the company states that it is built, but also declares that it is not fully built, but does anticipate complete production in the middle of 2022. Meta currently, let's zoom in here so you guys can see it. I keep forgetting. Meta currently has researchers utilizing the RSC to run computations to train models in natural language processing, NLP, along with computer vision for research purposes, with the goal of training AI with trillions of parameters. The new research supercluster will aid Meta's research of artificial intelligence to develop improved AI models that will be smarter and capable of learning from trillions of instances, process information from several languages simultaneously, analyze text, images, and video simultaneously, create unique augmented reality devices and implemented tools, along with several other projects in the designing stages. Meta wants to see AI-powered applications and developments take the lead in creating the virtual universe that society incorporates as a mere buzzword. One example of the new AI supercomputer is the capability to control voice translation from a large group of people in real time instead of using human translators to slow the conversation, allowing many people to collaborate on a project or play a multiplayer game at once. But the underlying use for the new research supercluster is to help build new technologies for the metaverse. Facebook initially created the AI Research Lab in 2013 when the company executed a long-term investment in artificial intelligence. Several advancements in AI have become incorporated into our world, and Meta explains how their progression is included in transformers that assist AI models to process information higher than before by pinpointing specific areas and self-supervised learning, helping formulas comprehend a large number of numerals from unknown examples. To fully realize the benefits of self-supervised learning in transformer-based models, various domains, whether vision, speech, language, or for critical use cases like identifying harmful content, will require training increasingly large, complex, and adaptable models. Computer vision, for example, needs to process larger, longer videos with higher data sampling rates. Speech recognition needs to work well in challenging scenarios with lots of background noise, such as parties or concerts. NLP needs to understand more languages, dialects, and accents, and advances in other areas, including robotics, embodied AI, and multimodal AI will help people accomplish useful tasks in the real world. Since high-performing computing infrastructures are crucial to artificial intelligence training, Meta divulges that they have researched and built systems to fulfill these needs for many years. Their first version initially came to design in 2017, utilizing 22,000 NVIDIA V100 Tensor Core graphics processors located on a single grouping to complete 35,000 training assignments in a day. This design element permitted the research teams at Meta to achieve high levels of productivity, performance, and reliability. So this has ramifications across pretty much everything crypto-wise, especially actually for us as GPU miners. What you may have seen was the interview I did with Daniel Keller from Flux yesterday, the CSO and founder. One of the things that they've been working on is proof of useful work. Proof of useful work would actually tie in great here because it will allow a decentralized method for whether that be independent developers or companies outside of NVIDIA and, of course, Facebook, for example, to access the sort of horsepower that would be needed to perform any or all of these tasks that they are talking about in this article. I think it's going to be super relevant if they can figure it out, because otherwise what you end up having is a very centralized form of control through the hardware and the companies that own that hardware over basically the metaverse in general. Now, we've already kind of talked about Microsoft pretty much buying up all the IPs. That's going to be a problem. We already are aware of that, but we also now have essentially, as far as the processing power goes for the metaverse, being centralized into Facebook and their Meta program here as we talk about it. So decentralizing things like this, moving us, away from the potentially centralized control of the metaverse is going to be important. And projects like Flux and hopefully others are going to be the ones that help us get there. Other than that, of course, there are scary things that they like to say here that make me nervous. For example, if we were talking about critical use cases like identifying harmful content, this can get really tricky from an ethical and moral standpoint, because what we are talking about is essentially, we're talking about AI-driven censoring or censorship. And when we start talking about censorship, things are a little difficult. Of course, like if we have our kiddos playing around in the metaverse, we would like some sort of way that basically prevents them from accessing content that could be potentially damaging to their ever-evolving psyche, right? That's going to be part of it. At the same time, though, if that goes too far and these algorithms kind of take off and we start seeing, of course, censorship of speech that maybe is just disagreeable to one side or the other. And one of the concepts that I was actually looking into here recently, I was listening to Joe Rogan. I forgot the guy's name, but of course I do listen to Joe Rogan, so there you go. Was him kind of talking about the concepts of not even necessarily that people are deliberately writing algorithms to censor certain speech, etc., but just by nature of the programming going into it, you can end up with maybe not even an intentional censorship when we're talking about flagging things as misinformation or hate speech or whatever it may be. And if it takes off with an AI computer, that could be a really interesting dystopia in the future. I'm just saying, I don't know. That's my cyberpunk brain going off and creating these crazy dystopian worlds in my head that could possibly be. But that's tinfoil hat stuff, and just kind of fun. It would be fun to write a book or a whole world around it, right? Let's go ahead and get into basically all the troubles that Kazakhstan's had. I should say Kazakhstan is how I should pronounce it, but I'm gonna keep going. What was the? I can't remember the movie now. I'm blanking, but so Kazakhstan's energy problem worsened on Tuesday when major transmission line was disconnected. This is coming from CoinDesk. Kazakhstan crypto miners will have their energy supply cut off from January 24th until the end of the month. 3 people in the local industry told CoinDesk. A memo from the national grid operator, KEGOC, dated January 21st and seen by CoinDesk, said that, quote, the planned supply of electricity to persons engaged in digital mining is completely canceled, end quote. From January 24th until midnight January 23rd, Kazakhstan's energy grid has been struggling to meet power demand, especially during the winter. KEGOC said it will consider rolling the limitations back if the energy situation improves. Has it ever seemed funny to you that it doesn't matter if it's the summer or the winter? It's always like blaming the summer or the winter. And it's always like, well, you know, our power grid wasn't ready for the summer. Is it ready for the winter? Yes. Wait, no, our power grid's not ready for the winter. It's ready for the summer, though. And then when summer rolls around, they're like, sorry, it wasn't ready for the summer. It's just, it's so funny. The memo was signed by KEGOC Managing Director for System Services and NES Development, Bezin Mukatov, I don't know, and sent to 196 power generating, transmission, and energy trading companies. Making matters worse is that the major transmission line was disconnected after a, quote, significant emergency imbalance, end quote, in the Central Asian power system led to a power surge in Kazakhstan's northeast-south 500 kilovolt power transmission line, KEGOC said on Tuesday. On the same day, major cities in Kazakhstan and in neighboring Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan subsequently offered power outages, Reuters reported. All right. Kazakhstan was home to about 1/5 of the world's Bitcoin mining at the end of August 2021, according to data from the University of Cambridge Center for Alternative Finance. But local miners have been faced with electricity rationing during the current shortages. Some miners are looking overseas to grow their business, particularly given that the government has proposed a 100 megawatt energy limit for all new crypto miners. I'd be happy with that, just saying. All right, so let's look at Bitcoin and see if we're seeing anything on the network yet as far as a decrease in hash power. It looks like not, I mean, what? So I guess that was probably this dip, and then there's some coming back online. Does that seem about accurate? So that Monday we were at 196 exahash. Tuesday morning it dropped down to 192 exahash, and then it's kind of crawling back up. And then January, difficulty still the same as it was yesterday. So there it is. That's what we're seeing, boys. Nothing too crazy as far as an effect on the Bitcoin network. at least from what I can see. Obviously, there was a pretty big dip initially, and it looks like it's climbing back up. Let's go ahead and talk about the RTX 3050 and some of the benchmarks coming from videocards.com. NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3050 gets first 3D Mark scores. GTX 1660 Ti performance with DLSS and ray tracing. In 3D Mark's Time Spy, NVIDIA's latest card can offer up to 24% more performance than AMD's Radeon 6500 XT. Interestingly, the AMD card is just a few percent slower than the RTX 3050 in Firestrike. I mean, that's pretty expected because Firestrike's really, really core clock intensive, both on the CPU and the GPU. And as you guys may be aware, some of the way the Infinity Cache works, as well as the way the NVIDIA cards are, or the AMD cards are programmed to basically function directly, communicate with, especially like Ryzen CPUs and so on. This is kind of expected. Firestrike's a really old benchmark though, and probably not indicative of a majority of titles that people play anymore, except on maybe the esports side. So if we were talking about, you know, something like Counter-Strike, CSGO, Valorant, that sort of thing. So a bit more interesting comparison is with the RTX 3060, the upcoming card's closest sibling. Both cards are based on the same GA106 GPU, but the higher end model has 40% more cores and 60% higher memory bandwidth. The RTX 3060 is up to 46% faster than the RTX 3050 in Time Spy, rendered at 4K, meanwhile, in Firestrike Performance Profile, rendered at 1080p, the difference is just 30%. Good news here, that might be kind of like for a budget GPU. What we're seeing here, if we compare like Time Spy to Firestrike, what we're comparing here is maybe like Flux or Ton to Ethereum. It's not a direct one-to-one comparison, but seeing that you're only looking at 30% more on the RTX 3060, I would assume that number to be about the same in relation to like Flux performance, somewhere around there. Of course, 3D Mark scores are no longer as important for gamers as they used to be, especially when new technologies are in places such as ray tracing or DLSS. However, they still serve well for skew comparisons, especially under the same architecture. One should notice that the RTX 3050 performance should be on par with the GTX 1660 Ti, the most powerful non-RTX Turing from the previous generation. This card lacks ray tracing and DLSS support, and yet it retails at a minimum of €480. That is significantly higher than what you can pick up the 6500 XT for, though. Hopefully this is not an indicator of the actual retail price. The card will launch on January 27th, but the first independent reviews drop a day sooner. The card will retail at $250 and it should become available on the same day it launches. It has already been confirmed that the RTX 3050 is not good at Ethereum mining, which we kind of talked about already. I think on NB Miner with the unlock was 13 mega hash. So maybe, just maybe this time around, it will be easier to buy NVIDIA's newest card. I think with the dip and everything right now, it is going to be easier to buy it. We will be driving up to Houston tomorrow to stay the night and then hopefully pick one up, let's see, Thursday morning, and then get back, and I'll try to get the testing for you guys right now. I think there's definitely some potential here for like budget mining rigs, especially if you're not mining Ethereum. And I think that it might actually end up being a lot better for mining than what we are hearing from traditional media, traditional tech media. I don't think that they've really dug into it quite as far as they should. If you're able to pick these things up for $250 and they have 8 gigabytes of VRAM, they have the latest technology capabilities, memory that's running at pretty respectable 224 gigabytes a second compared to, of course, the 6500 XT, which is nowhere close to that. There's a lot of potential here. There is. So I'm pretty excited for this one, at least for testing. Stay tuned to the channel. Hit that notification bell so that YouTube notifies you when we get that video up for you. Let's take a look at mining profitability for today. We have a little bit of a market recovery that compounded, of course, with the increased amount of ETH that we've been earning thanks to high fees and EIP 1559. Looks like we are finally back over the $200 mark a day. Still 50% down compared to like where we were at previously. It's kind of a disappointment. I did have to add all my cards onto Ethereum as well. That's with like 5.5 gigahash a second. I should be closer to 6. Excuse me. But that's currently where we're at. I have to go move some stuff around. My 3090s are kind of getting hot. But that's where we're at. As far as profitability, definitely up, which is good. We can go ahead and confirm that. Let's take a look at the RTX 3090 profitability right now. On Ethereum, $3.61 a day after power. Let me fix the Flux hash rate here. Flux comes in third, so you have Cero in second at $2.16 a day after power, and Flux at $2.07 a day after power. If we looked at TON for the 3090, you are looking at $2.35 a day after power, so actually beating out both Cero and Flux. And that's where we sit. Let's go ahead and check out the 2080 Ti, the card that has been more profitable on Flux more often. And it's not the case today. Ethereum for the 2080 Ti will be $1.69 after power. Coming in second is Cero with $1.50 a day after power. And then we have BitTube Cash at $1.41 a day after power. And Flux at $1.36 a day after power. We will go ahead and check out the AMD 5000 series. They are at $1.80 a day after power. Firo comes in second at 85 cents a day after power. Clearly, pretty much anything pre-6000 series is going to be pretty tough on AMD side post-merge. Even the 6000 series probably too. So while it was a great move to purchase a bunch of 5700 XTs right before the last bull run for Ethereum, I may be sitting here thinking, well, I got way too many 5700 XTs here. Maybe I need to hedge further into NVIDIA. Even as we talked with Daniel Keller last night and the obvious performance advantage that NVIDIA has on Flux, and Flux kind of being the next move as I kind of see it right now. It seems like NVIDIA is really going to be the main focus of purchasing GPUs. I have been purchasing a lot of 6600s though. We'll have to see how this rolls out. The 6600s have been better on Flux than this 27 hash a second though that's reported. So there is that. All right. Mining pool stats.stream. Nope. We want mining pool profits. Let's hop into it. All right. So for Ethereum, the last 90 days, Crazy Pool has been in first with Mining Pool Hub in second and Flex Pool in third. Last 60 days, we have Crazy Pool in first, Mining Pool Hub in second, and Flex Pool in third. Last 30 days, we repeat the same order. Last 21 days, we have two miners moving into third, pushing Flex Pool into fourth. Last 14 days, we still have Crazy Pool and two miners taking the number 1 and 2 slots, but Ethermine moving into third. For the last 7 days, we have Crazy Pool in first, Ethermine in second, and two miners in third. For the last 3 days, we have Crazy Pool in first, Flex Pool in second, and Ethermine in third. For the last day, it remains the same, or actually Nanopool moves into third and pushes Ethermine into second. All right, so we looked at Bitcoin already today. We didn't look at Ethereum, so let's pop into there, see if there's any big changes. We actually did have a pretty big drop in hash power on the network, it looks like. So yesterday we were at 959 at the peak, 960 terahash, and it has dropped all the way down to 937 terahash. There is a corresponding drop in difficulty as well, from about 13p to 12.20p. So overall, Ethereum should be a little bit easier to mine today, which is interesting. I don't see any single pool that took a big hit here necessarily. Nothing huge. Oh, there's one, but I mean, that was still only gigahash, but look at that Russian pool after that announcement. That was rough there, huh? All right, let's take a look at Flux, because we've already been kind of talking about Flux a lot today. 2.34 mega solutions a second. It's about 0.2 mega solutions a second lower than normal. We do have a corresponding drop in difficulty. Now, what's happening here is a recovery for Flux, and the recovery actually looks really good. Since of course Sunday they were down most of the day, you still have a few pools that are offline, so you want to stay away from these pools. As far as I know, we have full confirmation that 2 miners is making payouts as well as hero miners. So if you want to jump on and possibly take advantage of low hash rate for a little bit longer, but overall, not a bad recovery for Flux, seeing that they were down for a while. Let's take a look at Ravencoin. Oh, Ravencoin is even further down. Well, no, okay. So we're still around that 4. There's been little spikes of people trying stuff, it looks like. And they're still just basically recovering from the halvening. Unfortunately, that halvening timing, along with the market, was a little rough. We already looked at Ergo, so you guys can go back because we already talked about Ergo at the beginning of the show. I'm going to go ahead and sit down and answer questions. Okay, it's reconnected. We had a little bit of drop there. Hopefully we're still good to go. It looks like we are good to go. Let me get into questions. We had a super chat for $1 from some goblin. Thank you, sir. And Sojin Z, €5. Thank you. Said, can't stay for Q&A, but you'll rewatch later. What is your opinion on Planet Watch and Helium, especially in a bear market situation since they are low power? So as far as Planet Watch, I'm actually have emailed them. I wanted some more details before I ordered hardware, but I might try to order hardware. It's, here's the thing, in a bear market as a cryptocurrency YouTuber, it's not very fun ordering equipment for review that could potentially just not do anything. So I'm kind of, trying to figure out if I can just get like one of their little cheap things, play around with it, and let you guys know. The other one, as far as Helium goes, I have a Helium miner. It's still syncing. Once I have like all the syncing stuff done and we're starting to see what the revenue is going to be like in a rural area, then we'll talk about that. And then my plan is to try to move it to a more densely populated area. I'll have to pay like a moving fee and all of that. But for sake of trying to get full reviews, that sort of thing, we'll put it in like a metropolitan area. Maybe I'll drive out to Austin and get a friend to host it for me, and we'll go from there. Helium, look, most of the hardware is going to bigger players is the best way. I think it's like 75% of the hardware is going there. It makes it very hard as an individual miner to start a business. How would you start a business helium mining, right? Well, what you would do is be a huge contributor to your community. You would then need to know a ton of business owners. You would then go around to all the business owners and do some sort of profit sharing deal. plug them in a bunch of different businesses, and then you just at scale have to go like crazy. But the hard part is, as opposed to like GPU mining or even ASIC mining, where you just buy the hardware, put it into your location, run it on the network and make the money, you basically need to have partnerships, because it's pointless to run a whole bunch of helium miners in one location. So it's almost like a door-to-door salesman job to become a helium miner. And if I look at that from the perspective of like time versus profitability, like as a YouTuber, like and mining, like I don't think I really have the bandwidth to go door to door, like basically trying to get a whole bunch of people to host these machines for me. That's kind of how I look at it. I look at it from like a business perspective, because running one helium miner is like, eh. All right, I'm scrolling down now. We got those out of the way. Finn says, would you buy an RX 6600 XT for $495 right now? No, I would not. RX 5700 XT giveaway for 200 subs? No, I don't give away stuff. Simon H says, at Son of a Tech, got NVIDIA cards, GTX 1660, RTX 2070s. I have 1660 Supers, and they're on ETH, and they're doing fine. I think the rig builds up on the channel somewhere. It's a 12 buy. Little EU Miner says, at Son of a Tech, can you give me advice on what to do in order to kick off a YouTube channel that would be crypto related? Anything else than consistency? Bro, I've been doing this for like 10 years. Like there are crypto YouTube channels that have spun up and blown up really quickly. I think if you looked at their subscriber count versus their views and hours watched, it's going to look pretty bad compared to like the staples that have been around for a long time, like a Bits or myself or something, right? And really that's what it's about. And the only way you're going to build up the consistent amount of views and the things to run YouTube as a business that you need, right? It's going to take a long time, like grassroots. But a lot of people are doing the cheating thing where they're buying channels that already had subs. It's very weird. But basically, like, they'll buy a channel that already has a bunch of subs, and then they'll repurpose the channel to crypto, and then usually just have a whole bunch of different, like, trading stuff. I don't recommend doing that, because I don't think that, like, first of all, you aren't going to have, like, there's something to be said for like paying the piper and like learning about creating content, learning how you're going to communicate with your audience and that sort of thing. That like, if you just jump into it from there, people are going to click on it. Maybe the quality's not as good. Maybe your knowledge isn't as good. I mean, part of the reason why the channels that have stuck around through the bear markets, you know, like the Bits Be Trippin' and so on, they keep coming back is because this is what they do all the time, right? And so they have that knowledge base that is also helpful. I would encourage you to just start doing it, excuse me, and continue to do it. And I understand that you didn't want the consistency answer, but yes, and like where I failed is when I'm not as consistent, right? Like we can look at the numbers from like October when I had COVID or whatever it is, right? And like all the stuff that I went through, the inconvenient truth is that you just have to do it and do it a lot. And when you're not doing it, you have to think about it. And when you're not, I guess, like, and you need to do research, and it's a lot. I don't know. And then also there's the point too where, and I think I try to do the best I can here, is like, you don't know everything, and you need to already have that kind of in your head, right? Like you should approach a channel from the aspect of like, I'm going to show things that I've discovered, but I'm also going to be willing to move my position on any given thing, make sure that I research it, make sure I admit when I'm wrong and cover those things and all of that. I think being genuine like that helps you out a lot. Finn2 says, ask Son of a Tech, would you buy? Nope, we already answered that one. Detroit Iris says, ask Son of a Tech, what was your approximate hash rate going into last bear before you started shutting down, selling off? I only had one rig on the last bear. I never had enough. And it was I already knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it. The reason I can do this now, right, is that I just caught the super cycle. I just understood what was happening. So I started building up in March before this super cycle, and I was able to get equipment cheap. And then that's what I was able to do. But I maybe only had 200 mega hash a second or something. And at the peak, maybe 300 mega hash a second. Thank you for the 5 BGN super chat, Vesselin. And he says, I plan to set up a solar powered farm. If the rigs work for 12 hours and don't for 12 hours, will it be considered as pool hopping, and how to prevent? Yes, it would be considered pool hopping. From the pool's perspective, you connected and disconnected, so you don't get that seniority. And there's really no way to prevent that other than staying online. Juan says, would you be interested in buying a used Asus TUF RTX 3090 for $2,000? No, you can get them cheaper, and they should be even cheaper here pretty soon. So $2,000 is kind of a little overpriced in my opinion, especially looking at where the market's going right now. I've been getting them for $1,800, pretty easy used. So, no. Bring that price down. Boo, boo, boo. All right, we're a little low on questions. That's not bad, though. So if you guys got any more, let me know, and we'll go through them. Try to get you guys answers. We got 14 minutes left. Oh, I already started sweating. I sweat all the time. That's it. Born Ready says, any idea what I can mine with 1063 gigs? Yes, sir. You can mine Flux. Hey, MC, good morning. How you doing today? Lots of things to mine on 3 gigabyte cards. Seb Chap says, pool in versus F2 pool for LTC mining. I don't have a ton of F2 pool experience, but I will say I use pool in, and I've had good experience with it. David asks, hey, Son of a Tech, is Buy Thomas scan? I haven't heard of that, but let's go look. BYTOM blockchain. Let me know, is this the one we're talking about? Embrace the extensive application era of blockchain, a unified platform for putting assets on the blockchain. Consensus node, explore the boundaries of the blockchain with innovation, high throughput and friendly user experience, blah, blah, blah. Economic model with total supply, lower inflation, and higher node reward. All right, let's just do this real quick. Oof. All right. Let's look at this real quick. Documentation is not terrible. Where's their GitHub? go ahead and check their GitHub and see where they're at there. See what kind of commits they've had. There was a merge pull request on the 27th. I don't see any commits since October. They could be taking holiday. I don't know. At this point, I guess the documentation looks decent. Not a ton of stuff going on recently on the GitHub from what I can tell. But it's hard to say. I don't think like scam necessarily. Good project would be another discussion to have. So there you go. MC, thanks for the $4.99. Let's see. Alexander Pulido says, "That son of a tech, do you think helium will survive the bear market?" There's a lot of investment in infrastructure there. So it's quite possible that, yes, it would survive the bear market. I think your profitability is going to be pretty bad, though. Jacob Burgess says, "Morning, son of a tech. Just want to say thanks for the interview with Flux the other day." Yep, for sure, man. Kevin McCormick says, "As son of a tech, you said wait till Wednesday to Friday for better market signaling, right?" Wednesday through Friday is, yes. We're going to sometime between tomorrow and Friday. From what I was seeing, as far as like we should be able to tell, I don't know about for sure, but it'll be a lot more clear as to like bear versus bull, kind of where we're sitting, if we're going to bounce back, that sort of thing. I think by Friday should be good. Pay Me in Crypto says, "At son of a tech, what do you think about Luxor starting an ETH pool?" That one's an interesting one. So, that is actually a topic I did mean to talk about today. I'll probably add it on for tomorrow. All right, let me see. I think I actually have the link here somewhere. I don't know why I forgot to add that in today because I did want to talk about it. So let's actually get into that because this one is pretty wild. This is weird. So Luxor is going to be launching, or has launched a mining pool, Ethereum mining pool. And you're like, well, what the heck? Don't you have like the halvening coming up? Or not the halvening, the merge, the move to proof of stake in June. Why would you start a mining pool right now? And actually, this doesn't really clear that up, but it does a little bit. Let's talk about it. This was posted yesterday by Colin Harper. Luxor launches Ethereum mining pool. So Luxor Technology Corporation has launched an Ethereum mining pool. Luxor is working with large institutional miners such as Hut 8 and Hive Blockchain, as well as many retail miners in North America in its quest to provide the industry a US-based Ethereum mining pool. The mining pool is outfitted for miner extractable value, MEV, a novel miner strategy for maximizing Ethereum transaction value, and is optimized for a low uncle rate mined blocks that are added to the longest blockchain history, but which miners get paid for all the same. Additionally, Luxor has made its Ethereum pool compatible with its Catalyst service so that miners have the option to get paid in Bitcoin for their work on Ethereum. All right. In addition to the new software, Luxor has started organizing and building an advocacy group for Ethereum to remain proof of work on the consensus mechanism. This is where it gets interesting. Luxor's stance is that proof of work ensures network operators remain decentralized and that the mining process has profound positive impacts on global energy markets. Luxor will fund developer grants working on Ethereum and mobilize the mining community to contribute more to the network's development in a collaborative way. All right, so we have a couple pieces of information here. What's happening? All right, what's really happening? Now, there was, if you guys didn't see, Hut 8 was on like MSNBC or some mass media thing at some point, and people asked them about Ethereum moving proof of stake, and their answer was, because they have terrible PR, people that don't understand cryptocurrency, they would just mine something else like Polygon Matic, which is not mineable. So I think maybe now they're starting to realize, oh crap, our profitability is going to tank. We are not going to be able to move all of this hash power that is running on GPUs over to another coin. And so now we're going to go ahead and try to stand up a mining pool, and then we're going to try to advocate for Ethereum not moving proof, or to stay proof of work. Do I think there's any chance of this happening? Probably not. Like, I don't think that the team at Ethereum is going to be like, okay, yeah, you made a mistake and bought way too many GPUs in the middle of a bull run, and you don't know what you're going to mine afterwards, so we're just going to go ahead and remain proof of work. It seems a little ridiculous. Is it possible? Maybe. I guess money makes people do crazy things. Is it more than likely? I highly doubt it. So what I see going on here is essentially a pool being stood up to, you know, get additional profits off of MEV for Hut 8, for example. And then I see them kind of, it's almost like they're in denial. Like, if we're being completely honest, it's almost like they're in complete denial of proof of stake of Ethereum, and how they may have made a bad institutional investment during a bull market. That's possibly it here. So, but let's go on. Quote, "We are proud to join the Ethereum mining community as we are seeing in the Bitcoin mining industry, proof of work, both on an individual level and at scale, has interesting and largely positive impacts on energy markets and infrastructure, while also guarding the network against centralization." Every argument that they have here is going to be valid as far as the positives of proof of work go. That's not what I'm saying as far as like what these arguments are going to be or invalid or anything like that. I'm just saying what reality is in regard to Ethereum and proof of work mining at this point. So this is accurate. The Ethereum blockchain requires robust decentralization and security to protect the innovations being built on the network and the value being stored and transacted on it. We believe the proof of work consensus mechanism is optimized for decentralization and security, while green energy innovation, such as what Hive blockchain is doing, is moving us to a world in which proof of work mining will be net positive for the environment. I think by and large they're correct. I think that even if we're talking about like energy efficiency, etc., I think that mining in and of itself, because of the economic incentive, has drastically accelerated the move to renewable energy due to its economical benefits over traditional uses. And I think that as it continues on, we are going to see more efficient hardware from the likes of like Intel, if we're talking about Bitcoin, and we're going to see more renewable energy being used just as a whole. So I think there is the argument that because proof of work, we move to renewables quicker. If moving off of proof of work and it's not necessary, then I think it slows down. Just because of the way the economic incentives work. So Luxor's Ethereum mining pool is the largest in Luxor's growing suite of software products and services that support the development of hash rate as a commodity. Luxor's product lines include top 10 Bitcoin mining pool, ASIC trading desk, financial services, and data center software products built by miners for miners. So there you go, guys. I guess here's the pool website. It may be one to check out. I don't know that I want to. Let's just do inquiry. That way it doesn't hit my. I wonder what it's going to make me do as far as this goes. Okay, so I'd have to fully sign up. All right, so I'm going to sign up here, but I'm going to mute the mic. All right, so let's go ahead and just look at the dashboard here. Here's the Ethereum one is up now. Do they have an overview of like amount of hash or anything? No? Just what you're doing? Yeah. Okay. I wonder if there's anything at the main site. That's just a relay. And they're not listed on mining pool stats. All right, so that's about all we can do today as far as that goes. I don't know what all their, I mean, if their ping is really good, I may give them a shot for a while and see what happens. But that's kind of my thoughts on it so far. Painkiller says, that son of a tech did a fresh OS install with your desktop and now your 3080 Ti keeps getting locked. Any tips? Turn off the overclock. Or mine something different. Pay Me in Crypto says, that son of a tech, how much of your mine coin are you holding? None of it right now. Wyatt Pendleton says, that son of a tech, how do parallel assets work on Flux? Looking to get into mining Flux, but haven't been able to fully understand parallel assets. As long as the pool supports it, all you have to worry about is that it's going to pay out like on Miner Pool every Thursday. And it's going to pay you out in regular Flux. You're just getting more revenue than just the Flux you've mined. That's it. Born Ready is $5. Thank you for the super chat. James Pavlik says, would you be interested in a 3060 Ti non-light hash rate for $990? Nope, not at all. Absolutely not. Space Cadet says, that son of a tech was using Luxor, but they missed a payment to me on January 18th and have not resolved the issue or paid me yet. Okay, thanks for the info. Oh. And Zyler also says Luxor has not paid me out yet. You've been mining it for over a week. Can't get a response from the operators either. There you go, guys. We're finding out in chat. Maybe don't try Luxor. I think I got to go now. Yeah, it's 10:50. Lots of people saying Luxor not paying them out, so be careful. Guys. Oh, I guess we have to name our streams differently if we want people to click it. Like Crypto Crash, like we did yesterday to get 600 viewers. Or Crypto Pump. That's what we got to do. You guys are really going to make me clickbait you? Is that how this is going to work? Thanks everybody that's here to support the channel. That always shows up regardless of the title. Be sure to check out the interview with Daniel Keller from Flux. That one is up and ready to go. Really interesting stuff going on there. Don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe, notification bell down below. And I will see you next Tuesday.